We got Sean Rose with the stories making the news this week. Sean, what is going on?
A lot, in fact. Greetings. I would like to turn attention this evening, though, to a matter that has been circulating the Virgin Islands news fair for some time now. In fact, an appeal case filed by the government of the Virgin Islands through the Attorney General's chambers was withdrawn, discontinued on April 16 this year. That case was against former Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Communications and Works, Julian Willock. Now, the matter dates back to an allegation in 2010 after the Beacon newspaper published an investigative report accusing Willock of a number of allegations, in particular that he had employees at his agency, Advanced Marketing, who were working without work permits, and there were other allegations as well. Now, the then governor, David Perry, sent Willock on compulsory leave, of course, based on the evidence submitted by the Beacon article, and he called on the Public Service Commission to launch an investigation into the matter to see whether or not the Beacon was in fact reporting facts. Apparently, the PSC sought some external assistance, and that committee, called a Special Investigative Committee, found some damning evidence and fingered Willock in their findings. However, Willock sought a judicial review, and the court, that was in on May 24, 2011, High Court Judge Justice Rita Joseph Olivetti ruled that the Special Investigating Committee was illegally appointed, and she asked that the investigations be carried out by the PSC internally. The PSC subsequently did an investigation, and it is plausible that no evidence was found by that second committee that was so damning as the first one, because we haven't heard or seen any evidence of that since then. Now, Willock was, while all of this was going on, Willock was dismissed. In fact, in 2012, he was dismissed from his post as a public servant, and he has not, to this day, challenged that dismissal. Now, you may ask, what is the latest on the matter? Willock, the matter, as it relates to his the judgment at the appeal court, means that Willock can now resort to the ruling of the High Court, that is, that done by Justice Olivetti, meaning that he is now eligible for legal fees. Whether or not he will be compensated or he's entitled to compensation is not yet clear. Certainly not in the minds of most people, except maybe those who are working very close to the case. And getting information on this matter, this case, has been pretty much like finding a needle in a haystack. And that has really led to a lot of confusion around the matter.
Well, Sean, the first thing I want to pick up on is that you said that the second committee that was formed, the internal committee, perhaps found it was plausible that they did not find any evidence. Now, when you say it's plausible, is it plausible on your behalf that you believe that no evidence was found, or they did not? Their report indicated that there was no evidence of wrongdoing. I don't understand that phrase.
Well, it's a very dicey matter, because the first committee, that is the committee appointed by the PSC with some external assistance, found evidence. However, because that committee was ruled, or should I say the High Court Judge Olivetti ruled that that committee was illegally appointed, then she also said that the evidence presented by that committee was no longer admissible. So whether or not the second committee was able to find any additional evidence is really what I'm questioning here.
Well, that's interesting, because why form another committee if that is the evidence? Yes. And it's no longer admissible? What's the point in forming another committee to find what? What would the other committee be looking for? That doesn't make sense to me at all.
Well, maybe at that point they figured that there must have been other pieces of evidence that they could have laid their fingers on to really point to what they deemed as inappropriate conflict of interest behavior by Willock at the time.
Well, what does this mean for Mr. Willock? Does he get his job back? Can he sue for damages? I mean, what does this ruling, what is this decision by the government not to no longer appeal the case? Well, before you answer that,
yes.
why did they decide not to appeal the case? I
Well,
think that's the
the-
first question I'd like to have.
Precisely. The matter was, the discontinuation of the matter at the appeal level was primarily influenced by cost. The government, that is the Attorney General's chambers, thought that it was wise not to continue the case given the fact that they would have to foot the cost, of course, for the legal fees on their behalf and also for Willock, because when the matter moved from the High Court level, Willock said, if you want to appeal this case, you will have to pay my legal fees at the appeal court level. And of course, bearing in mind that the Attorney General's chambers was really seeking an academic reference or interest in this matter. They simply really wanted to test the decision coming out of the court in relation to the action of the governor.
So in a sense, it wasn't worth it to the government to go through with the appeal.
No one was going to win, nobody was going to lose, really.
Okay, so does this leave the government open to further litigation, lawsuit, make it liable for any slander or anything like that?
And that reverts to the first question you asked. It is important to note, and I made that point, that Willock never challenged his dismissal. So in other words, he could not be looking forward to any compensation in my mind, and based on the evidence presented before me, because he never challenged his dismissal. What he challenged was the manner in which the information was collated, presented, and taken to court, or taken against him, presented against him.
Okay. So as far as the charges are concerned and the evidence that was supposed to be available, the evidence, the charges are false.
The evidence
are they being thrown out? So there is no longer any charges against him. How does that work? What does that mean?
It means that the matter goes back to the High Court decision, that the evidence brought against him by the Special Investigations Committee is considered null and void because the Special Investigations Committee was illegally appointed according to Justice
And so
Olivetti.
it just ends there. Does Willock get his job back?
He cannot get that job back because he has not challenged his dismissal.
Now, what about the Beacon? Is the Beacon liable for publishing the information?
But there you go. He has not filed a charge against the Beacon for defamation of character and so forth.
So at this point, we don't know what Mr. Willock's next move is.
Apart from the judge's decision at the High Court level, that is Olivetti, that he should be awarded legal fees, we are not clear. Whether or not he would be or he's entitled to compensation, we are not clear about that either.
So I guess certainly we'll look forward to what develop in the weeks or the days or the weeks ahead concerning the case, because as of now, we don't know what the next move is going to be.
It would be good if the Attorney General's chambers and Willock himself, the matter is no longer adjudicated, the matter is finished. It would be good if they can come forward to the public and level the playing field. They may say that the media is beating a dead horse, but the fact of the matter is people are seeking clarity on this particular matter. They would like to hear what is really going to happen.
And you've tried to contact both parties to no avail? I
have done my best, and that's why I have sought to borrow a legal hat this evening to speak to the issue, and hopefully I have not tangled myself in any webs of legalese out there.
Yeah. Well, certainly hopefully we'll see what is going to happen in the days or weeks ahead, whether what Mr. Willock's next move is going to be. Certainly it appears that the government is no longer interested in the case because costs or whatever, for whatever reasons.
Yes. Basically of academic interest. So as we said earlier, no one would have won, no one would have lost anything. It's just a matter now for the public to see whether or not he would be paid anything at based on the High Court ruling.
Well, Sean, certainly that's an interesting story, and we look forward to hearing more about it, coming up soon. So I want to thank you for that report and that interesting story. I mean, I don't know how important it is to us at this time, but certainly something that needs to be resolved, and we hope to get to some kind of resolution in the near future. Thank you very much for your report.
Spotlight is brought to you by the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, the BVI Tourist Board, and CCT Global Communications.